So if you've watched the other videos, you'll have context. If not, you'll have to go back or just imagine what I'm about to explain. So these are obviously rebuilt structures to give emphasis of what perhaps they look like at the time in question. You see that you've got the triangular roof, etc. And I don't know if there's going to be terraces here we can give example to. I guess there are. They're not as... Okay, there we go. Perfect. So we were looking at what would seem to most to be staircases, as you can see, all along the edges, but on the far terraces there's far more of them, and they're within 3 or 4 meters of each other, which would be illogical. You wouldn't need staircases 4 meters apart, and it would seem, given that the ones at least on the other side, this is a bad example, but they're in triangular form, that at one point, which is the same with a lot of old era properties throughout the world, you would have stepped down into the properties. So of course now we look at these terraces very kind of flat, but at the time they might have been sunk, and of course people at the time, well, people still today in Peru are very small. At the time supposedly they were smaller, so of course the triangular I don't know what you want to call them, cut-in stones, for lack of a better term, that you see on the other side against each other would have been the base for beams to support a triangular roof, and you would have had people living all along here, which again makes sense, because if you look at the structures up in the main plaza areas, which we allude to being, for royals or for, I don't know, community purposes, shops, buildings, centres for political discourse, whatever, given the extent and magnitude of these constructs, there would have obviously been a sizable number of people, and they would have had to have lived somewhere, and they probably wouldn't have lived in the plaza, again, because the buildings don't seem to discern that they were used for living purposes, especially for most people. So it would only make sense that the terraces were used multi-purpose for living quarters as well. That's my opinion. I consider it to be logical, because we have clearly a lot of people living in these areas building such things. So I don't know if I think this is a gate. I think I'm going to have to go back up. And again, it all would have looked like this. Everything would have been mud. It's not stone. Stone doesn't exist, as I've already said. It's petrified organic matter, solidified under immense pressure. So everything would have been like that, which is why it was feasible to construct these things in the first place. You could build them up here instead of having to hog stone and chisel it out of the bloody cliff and bring it all the way up here. Yeah, so this is another gateway. This is Camino. This is the trail, I think, back to Pisac. So I think I'm going to have to go all the way back up. But yeah, it's pretty magnificent, isn't it? I must say. Very, very impressive. Especially if you think about it, what I think about it, which I won't bore you with. But we continue on. There's going to be so many more of these videos because I didn't realise the extent of it. And I'm in a upbeat, video-esque mood. So you may be bored some more.